This is a story called The Little Monsters at Christmas, Chapter 16. The kids go to Lapland with their families to visit Santa in his grotto. It's just a week until Christmas, and the kids are all in Lapland with their families. They are all looking forward to meeting Santa in his grotto. However, despite the fact that they're supposed to be on their best behaviour, they can't help but get up to lots of mischief. When their parents aren't looking, the kids go around playing tricks on people. They put fart gas in people's drinks. Before they could do anything else, their parents came back. The next time their parents left them alone, they went round putting whoopee cushions on people's seats, and when they sat down, they deflated, making a loud farting noise. Then they put pin cushions on people's seats, making them howl in pain when they sat down, much to the kids' amusement. Then the kids went round all the rooms in the hotel they were staying in, and threw stink bombs in every one. Whenever anyone left their hotel room and left their door open, the kids sneaked in and put fake spiders and snakes in their beds. When people got into bed, they bit them, making them scream. The next day, when anyone left their hotel room, the kids sneaked in and put fake dog poo in their beds. The day after that, there was people at the hotel's reception complaining. As soon as the kids' parents heard them, they knew it was their kids. They went and told them to pack it in because Santa's little helpers were watching them and telling Santa everything they did. They also told them that they had some special things organised for them, and if they didn't behave, everything would be cancelled. For the rest of the day and the next day, the kids were all on their best behaviour. On their third day, the kids were all treated to a sleigh ride, with the sleigh being pulled by husky dogs, and everyone had an amazing day. The next day, the kids and their families went into a magical place called the Winter Wonderland. There was lots of magical things for everyone to do. There were sleigh rides with pretend reindeer and sleighs. There was a magical Alice in Wonderland, as well as many other magical rides. The kids were totally in their element, and they were all having an amazing time. The kids were given lots of fun activities. Excuse me. The kids were given lots of fun activities to do, such as making their own Christmas cards, making Christmas paper chains, designing their own Christmas presents, as well as lots of other stuff. Whilst the kids were still in the Winter Wonderland, they all had a very magical Christmas lunch. After they'd all had lunch, they were treated to an afternoon of ice skating. The whole of the ice rink was covered in Christmas decorations, and it just looked totally magical. What made it look more magical was the moving images of Santa and his elves and his little helpers all working in his workshop. There was moving images of Santa flying through the air on his sleigh with sacks of presents, and his reindeers pulling the sleigh. There was also moving images of Santa going down people's chimneys and leaving presents for all the children. Everything was so magical, the kids couldn't believe it, and they didn't want to leave. However, their parents told them that they could come back after they had had their tea. When they did go back and it was time for the ice rink to close, the kids didn't want to leave. It was only when their parents promised that they could come back the next day, as long as they behaved themselves, that they agreed to leave. The next morning, the kids did their Christmas arts and crafts again until the ice rink opened. However, they were so excited about going ice skating again that they could barely concentrate on what they were doing. Then a member of staff came up to them and said, "Is it true what your parents tell me, that you kids are all amazing singers?" The kids all said yeah. Then the staff member said, "Well, in that case, would you like to come and stand around our piano and sing for us?" They all agreed and they sang beautifully. After the kids had finished singing, they all went ice skating again. After they'd had some lunch, of course. Again, when it was time for them to leave the ice rink to have their tea, they wanted to stay. However, their parents told them that they could come back as soon as they'd had their tea. Again, when it was time for them to leave, they didn't want to. And again, they only agreed to leave when their parents told them that they could come back the next day. They spent the rest of the evening singing carols around the hotel's piano. The next day, they spent the morning doing more Christmas arts and crafts and carol singing around the piano, and then they went ice skating again. Then out of the blue, someone called out their names and told them to go to the hotel reception desk. They were scared because even though they knew they hadn't done anything wrong, they thought that they were in trouble. However, when they got there, the sleigh pulled by huskies. The kids got on and they were taken to Santa's workshop. When they got there, Santa wasn't there, but his elves were, and they invited the kids to help them to make some toys. Later in the day, the kids were still in Santa's workshop and they were asked if they'd all like to make their own toys. And of course, they all said yes. Stampy carved his own Rudolph, Stumpy carved his own Prancer, Grumpy carved his own Dasher, Bumpy carved her own Dancer, Creeper made her own Vixen, Kicker carved her own Comet, and each of them made their own Cupid, Dander and Blitzen. When they'd finished, each of them made a Santa and a Santa's sleigh. As soon as they'd finished, they painted their toys. Whilst they were drying, they cleaned up their mess. When their toys were dry, they were all taken back to the hotel on a sleigh pulled by huskies. When they got there, they had something to eat, and then they sang carols around the hotel's piano again. And then it was bedtime. For once, the kids didn't argue about going to bed because they were so tired, and they fell asleep as soon as their heads hit the pillow. The following day, their parents had the biggest and the bestest surprise for them yet. They were picked up by a sleigh pulled by huskies again, and they thought that they were going to Santa's workshop again. However, they went straight past, and when they got to where they were being taken, they couldn't believe it. They were in Santa's grotto with Santa himself. Santa told them to gather round him, then he said to them, "I believe you kids have been going out of your way to raise money for the poor and needy. I also believe that you have all been mostly good these past couple of months. Is this true?" The kids all said, "Yes, Santa." Then he said, "Well, here's a sack full of presents for each of you. All the sacks have your names on. Now, how would you kids like to go on a sleigh ride on a sleigh pulled by my reindeers?" The kids all said, "Yes, please." After a very magical Christmas in Lapland, it was time to go home. The kids couldn't wait to tell all their friends about their trip to Lapland. However, they didn't want their trip to end. It was only when their parents promised them that they might come back next year that they reluctantly left and went home. The end. Thanks for watching, guys. Merry Christmas. Love you all.